Welcome everyone to Electronic Talks episode 16. Today we have a great artist from Gävle who has released on Lamour Records. Her name is AKB or Anna-Karin Berglund. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. This feels like an adventure to leave Gävle.
Yes.
And come to Stockholm. It was a long time ago, so it feels great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. And you're an artist based in Gävle, and you released your first EP back in 2016.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it's right.
Söndagsbarn.
Yes.
Was the title.
Correct.
Like Sunday Children.
Yeah. It's I think it's an old like folk tale that says if you're born on a Sunday, you're in luck. You're a lucky child. And that's what I've been told all my life, especially by my mother, that like I'm lucky.
And you're born on a Sunday, so that's why.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's the inspiration for the name.
And do you feel lucky as well? Or is that more other people?
Well, sometimes I feel lucky. Other times life gets me too. But a lot of the times I feel lucky. I feel like I have been blessed with the ability to do what I want to do. And that's a way of being lucky. Yeah. That I can have the opportunities that I've had. Yeah.
And I think you released your first debut album last spring in 2020.
Yes.
It's called Marianergraven in Swedish. That would be the Mariana ditch, something like that.
I think actually the scientific name is the Marianas Trench.
The Marianas Trench.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
It. Yeah. And we've got it here with us. It has beautiful artwork, and also like I love this album so much. It's very atmospheric, I would say.
Yeah.
And would you call it a concept album yourself, or what would you call it?
Yeah, I would call it a concept album, definitely. A lot of the inspiration for the tracks and the names of the songs and everything, and also the artwork and everything is closely related to the Marianas Trench and my imagination of the place. I mean, no human has been down there, only robots and probes and stuff.
So what is the Mariana Trench, just to shortly?
Yeah, it's I think it's the deepest place in the world, on the globe. I think it's in the South Pacific, and it's 11,000 kilometers deep.
Oh my.
And there is a lot of layers, like from the surface and down, where a lot of different species live, and they only live there.
Yeah.
Very strange fish and other weird sea creatures, and I think a lot of it isn't explored either. So they find new species down there, like every time they go down. Yeah. So I feel it's a very, like when you think about it, there's a lot of things to translate into music in my imagination.
Yes. And I can't fail to notice, but you do have a tattoo of a whale as
well.
Yes, I do. Do you have like a big
Yeah.
connection to the sea, or what's the thing?
Well, I had a dream when I was, I don't know, maybe 17, 18, that I wanted to be a sea captain. And I actually applied in Gothenburg, the university, and I got in. And I was going to move there, and I had all of this. You had to study math during summer and everything. And then I was in a band back then. This was, I don't know, maybe 2007. And they asked me if I wanted to go on tour.
Okay.
And then I chose tour.
You chose tour instead of math lessons.
Yeah,
I think most
did.
people would understand that.
Yeah, so then, I mean, I could have been a captain and I could have been sailing the seven seas, but I feel like I made the right choice. And then I can use the creativity to imagine how it would have been. maybe I've got a more of a romantic picture of how it is to be out at sea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And to get back to this very special place, 11 kilometers deep, like when did you start imagining about this place, and how did that turn into producing music about it?
Yeah. I've always enjoyed watching nature documentaries,
Mm-hmm.
And especially the ones regarding the sea.
Yeah.
And I think I saw one of them. I don't remember the name, and I think there is a lot of them who talk about the Mariana Trench because it's such a special place.
Yeah.
And so I saw one of those documentaries, and then after that, because of the weird place that it is,
Mm-hmm.
it stuck with me for a very long time.
Mm.
And then I was talking to Victor,
Mm-hmm.
the record label L'amour boss, or what do you call it?
Yeah.
And he said that a lot of the music that I made for this album, he said that it reminded him of like waves and being out to the sea. And that's how I made the connection. And then because I made maybe 2 or 3 tracks and sent to him like, okay, this could be an album. What do you think? And after that, I felt like, okay, let's keep digging in this space.
Yeah. And this kind of sound, I mean, I guess some people would call it kind of ambient in some way.
Yeah, sure.
How would you describe it?
Yeah, I would say it's ambient. Yeah, sure. Both melodic and sometimes dissonant too. I've been thinking about the process of how I made it, and a lot of it is like a puzzle where I maybe use some sort of sampling or some sort of synth, and then it ends, and then another one takes over. So it's like painting sometimes.
Oh, really?
It's how I imagine it. I don't know how to paint, but I feel like it's you use the brush strokes, and then when you end, another one comes in and they blend together, and that's how they form melodies.
I see.
So I rarely sit down and like play. It's mostly like a puzzle to getting everything into place.
I see.
Yeah.
So what's your relationship to ambient? How did you get into the sphere of making that kind of music?
I think I met Victor at one of the many concerts that he put up in Gävle, and I went to see a lot of the artists that came to the town. And then he asked me like, okay, so you do, because I played in a lot of bands, and he asked me if I do any music myself, and I lied to him and said, yeah, I do, because I always had a dream that I would do it, but I wasn't really sure how it would be, because I don't sing, and I didn't feel like, because from where I came from was a lot of traditional pop music that I've been playing earlier, and so I don't know, I think maybe I just bought a synth and started to play. Yeah. And with ambient, for me, there's no rules, really. You can do what you feel like. It doesn't have to be like a verse and a refrain, and it doesn't have to like make sense in a pop musical way. It could be very different things put together. And I think that's where I found like joy. Yeah. And then I just kept going, and then he said to me, Victor, like, okay, you could maybe listen to these records, or maybe get inspiration from all of these kind of ambient artists. And so it was kind of a happy coincidence, I would say.
That's so exciting, and that could lead to something as big as this album. Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, I didn't really expect all the great feedback that I've been getting since the release, both from like radio shows around Europe and in Sweden here too, and people like just sending me DMs on Instagram or Facebook or whatever and say it's really great album, because I feel like a beginner still, even though I've been playing music for so long. So it was a very happy surprise that a lot of people liked it. So I feel very lucky because of that.
In that way.
Yeah.
I heard somewhere that you worked on the album for about 2 years. Is that correct, or was it?
I think that's true. The first track and the last track, I think, is even older than that. I think I made those in maybe 2016, like straight after the EP, Söndagsbarn. And then I felt like, okay, this is no good. So, I got a new computer and it was just rotting away in a drawer. And then I made a few more tracks, and then it took me a while to finish all of them. And then I just found an old MP3 in my computer and I was like, okay, what's this? And then it was the Kustanropet and Soluppgången, first and last track of the album. And so I rediscovered it.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, so this is not too bad. And then I could rearrange it a bit and add some stuff and correct some of the things that I thought was a bit too maybe not in keeping with the rest of the theme.
Yes.
So really more like 4 years then.
More like 4 years.
But I was working with it 2 years, I would say.
More focused 2 years, but
yeah.
But how do you feel about that process? How was that process for you?
It was both a fun process where I had a lot of fun because I feel like I learned a lot. I decided for this album that I wanted to do everything myself, or as far as I could, which meant there was a pretty steep learning curve in the beginning. And I think that's why it took me 2 years too, because there was a lot of like plugins and a lot of I don't know, EQs and stuff that I didn't know what's this? And I was a lot of watching tutorials and just feeling lost sometimes. But then it feels like I conquered some of them and it got easier and easier. So it was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work too. And I think that's also why I feel a little bit more proud of this, because I did it all myself. And then I sent the songs to a friend who lives in Sandviken, Johannes Westlund, and he like put the finishing touches on the mixing and mastering. Because I felt like he does a lot of good ambient too. So I asked him if he wanted to like just look at it or listen to it and see if there's some things that maybe could be a little floatier or wider in the stereo image. And
So you could trust his opinion on the sound. So
definitely. He's the mastering official mastering guy for L'Amour. Too. So and he's got a solo project called Alpha Mound, which I really like, and he's played a few times in on L'Amour events in town. So it's a good thing to have people around you that you can trust and that you feel won't take over, but instead maybe take what you've done and then enhance the original idea.
Not necessarily change it, but just enhance it.
Exactly,
And I mean, it's a very special concept for the album. How did you, in your creative process, go through it and kind of decide the whole style of the album and like the track? What do you say, the different track names and stuff like that? Like, how did that come about? Was that at the end? Or was
the tracks was the names of the tracks was definitely in the end. They've been named a lot of different things. I think the last one, the last track I made for the album was called New 2019 for a long time. And that's Öborgen, I think.
Yes.
Some of the names came quite easily to me, like because of the documentaries that I've been watching. Sediment, it's like that's sediment in English too. Yeah. So that's exactly on the bottom where the sand and everything filters through and then ends up on the ground of the trench. And then I was Googling a lot to see what would correlate with the sound and the feeling of the overall album too. So that was the last thing I did, actually, to name the tracks. Because it's a bit harder when you don't have lyrics too.
Yes.
Because I feel like it could be named anything, really. But I wanted something that had something to do with the Marianas Trench.
And in the record, one of the themes that seems very important is the submersion, right? And going into the depth of different levels. Can you tell me a little bit more about this feeling of depth and submerging in your music?
There's a lot of times when I listen to music myself, I really want to be surrounded with the sounds. I almost exclusively listen to music in headphones, for example, and I a lot of times I do my mixing on the bed, like under the covers, and I feel very surrounded by the music and everything. So I felt like a lot of times I was just closing my eyes and thinking about what's the feeling, what feelings do I get when I change maybe this sound to something else, or what feelings do I get when I listen to this? So I think that's one of the biggest things that I was thinking about. And also I really, really wanted it to be seamless. I spent a lot of time trying not to make sharp attacks in the sounds, so that maybe when you hear a sound, it's been playing for a long time, but then you notice it because it comes forward in the soundscape.
Yes.
And then maybe something comes from the left, and I think that's how I was able to create the submersion, so that things come from different angles in the big picture. Or
did you have any other like technical tools or ways of approaching this? Like in the studio or when you're playing it, or
I've got I came into a bit of money because I got a tax refund like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and so I did a lot of research into analog synths. So I bought a few of them, and a few effect pedals, like a really big shimmer reverb. So that's a lot of the things that I've been using when I recorded. But mostly I just hit record and played, and then I cut out pieces that I liked, and then edited in the after. So, and then a lot of samples that I found that I did before, like. Usually I start up a project, and then if I don't get any feeling for it, I quit, and then I start a new one, and then I start a new one. And then I was making the album. I was searching for, so maybe this time I need a bass. Okay, but I did a bass a few weeks back, and then I opened up the project, and I just lifted out the bass from that, and then I just added it into. So it was a lot of like a puzzle, really. But I felt like I was recycling a lot of the things that I had done before.
Making it into something new.
Yeah, exactly. And also I had to, because a lot of my memory in the computer was starting to end.
Yes.
So I had to like, okay, either I use this or I discard it. So
I see.
I ended up using pretty much everything.
So you got some limitations towards the end.
Yeah, exactly. So
but that can sometimes be good, right?
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes if the possibilities are endless, I think that it could be a bit harder to narrow it down to what you're going to do. Exactly. Yeah.
And I get the feeling that sometimes a big element of ambient or this kind of music can be also the live performance.
Yes.
What does the live performance mean for you?
I was really hoping to play this album a little bit more live than I've been able to. The pandemic hit right after I had my release party on March 13 last year. So, and I had like a tour in England planned for April last year.
Yeah.
So I haven't really been playing it so much. But one thing that I feel like adds another element is I've got some visuals.
Okay.
That a woman called Annie Todne, who lives here in Stockholm right now, she made them for me. And there's a lot of, I think she used a lot of different elements, like old recordings of water flowing. And then she's manipulated it so that it has got some different colors that's moving around. And so I think that's a big extra added element for the experience. So that either you can close your eyes and just listen to the music, or you can watch all the because I don't really only have like a screen in the back. I have been using like fabric in front of me too.
Excellent.
So that it that I am surrounded by this too as well, so it feels like you're going down to the deep.
I see. So is it kind of a fabric where you can see you in a shadow almost, or you
sometimes
can see
it depends on where you're standing. So there's a lot of different textures to the fabrics.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
looking forward to see
that.
It
was a lot of fun. Yeah, and I really wanted to experiment much more with this than I've gotten the opportunity to do. So I'm hoping that there will be some gigs in the near future,
of course,
where I can try it.
Yeah,
because I feel like if you're going to an ambient concert, there's not really much going on at stage that is very interesting to watch, because I turn the knobs very, very, very slowly.
Yeah.
So sometimes it feels like I'm just standing there, and it can be both maybe soothing and calming, but it can also be a bit stressful. Like maybe, okay, a lot of these people have come here to maybe watch me, and then nothing really happens.
Right.
So I wanted people to get like an extra treat too, so that it would be a bit different than just listening to the record at home.
Of course, of course. But you must have played also the first EP live, right? And had experiences with that.
Yeah.
And how has that influenced your production, or is it a separate thing, or how do you relate those two parts?
After the EP that I released, I was very happy with that EP and how it turned out. But it wasn't really a well thought out EP. I didn't really feel like I had any goals or any thoughts for it beforehand.
How would you describe that EP?
It's more like space oriented, I would say. And from what I've heard, people say it's more of like a 70s, 80s ambient kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
As far as I feel like this is more airy and like oceanic.
Yes.
And the other one takes place very much up high in another kind of dream world. But what I did after the EP is I started to do a lot of improvised concerts like totally, like nothing prepared beforehand, and that was very scary. But I feel like it was a very good. It was a very good place to begin exploring what I really wanted to do, and try to find my own expression, like musical expression, and started to get to know all these synthesizers that I bought.
It seems like quite a challenge to improvise everything in the moment, but I guess it's also kind of maybe a more strong experience as well. Yes,
it's it was really scary at first when I started, because I only have two hands. So if I don't have planned what I was going to do next, it's going to be silent. So that was a big stress factor for me, that I didn't want it to be silent. But after a while, I figured out that a lot of the synths that I bought had sequencers. That was a big aha moment for me.
Great.
Like, okay, it can play without me even touching it. Okay, that's great. That's step one.
Yes.
So it was a lot of trial and error. And sometimes I felt like I found a very good path to keep walking on, and sometimes it felt like I had painted myself into a corner and just, okay, so today was not my day, and then you have to move on. And
so I've been thinking a lot about the colors, and especially the graphic design of this album. How did you arrive to this color space, and did you work with a graphic designer?
Yes, I did work with a graphic designer. I posted on Facebook that I was searching for a graphic designer for my album artwork, and an old school friend answered and said that she was doing a lot of album artworks. Her name is Anna-Karin Berglund.
Okay.
And so I started a Pinterest mood board. And then I told her that I wanted something to be like an abstract representation of the sea. So that's where the waves come from. And there's a lot of different textures, glitter textures, which I feel like are very watery, oceanic. So she took my ideas and just ran with it, and I'm very happy with the end result. I think it's really beautiful, and it's a good representation of the music as well. Definitely, and also with the limited edition colored vinyl as well.
Okay, and which color does that have, and how does it?
It's I think maybe along the lines of this middle wave, like a turquoise bluish hue.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I think it was it was supposed to be a bit more marbled than it is, but you can see a few streaks of different blues on it. I think it looks tasty.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And do you have a plan yourself? Like you're saying you were planning to be a sea captain, and you like imagining about, do you have a plan to visit the Mariana Trench someday? Or do you prefer to have it in your imagination?
I'm not really sure if, well, maybe I could visit like the surface, I guess, but I don't think there's a possibility to be that far down. But I always try to be close to the sea in any way I can. But it would definitely be cool to maybe be on that kind of explorative journey to see if there's a scientific expedition maybe to join. That would be fun.
Of course.
Definitely.
And are you currently exploring new soundscapes at the moment? What kind of mode are you in?
I am a little bit in hibernation mode, creative wise. I've done a few remixes that since the album came out. And I think maybe one of them is released now in April, maybe next week or something like that. And for that one, I have been exploring beats. So it's the same kind of ambient vibe to it, but there's strict beats too as well. So that feels like a very shaky road to be going out on, but I feel like it turned out good.
Exciting. And how was it since you don't work that way usually, like what was the challenge and how did you approach it?
I bought an Electron Digitact.
Yes.
And I was playing around with it, and I felt like it was kind of easy to get a loop going.
Yeah.
So the big challenge was to make a full track, I would say, and to keep it interesting during, like, from the start to the beginning. Because I feel like with ambient, as I said before, there's no rules.
Yeah.
But when you add some sort of drums or anything like that, I feel like there is a lot of unwritten things that comes along with it.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know if I was going to embrace it or take a stand to the other side and do something else. So I think maybe there's something in between the end result.
Can you name the remix at the moment?
It's called, the artist is called Ljudvägg.
Yes.
And he made a release at L'Amour, I think, this winter.
Okay.
And the track is called Tradition.
Tradition. Okay.
Yeah. So I took like a loop from his melodic piano that he plays, and then I added some extra ambient and beats too. I think in the beginning of April.
Very soon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you also mentioned that you still feel that this album is quite fresh, right? Since
yes.
You haven't played it a lot live.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It feels very alive for you.
Yeah, it does.
Correctly.
It really does. So hopefully, I think maybe I had an idea that maybe there is a lot of remixes out on this album too. There is 2 remix albums, one that came in April last year and one in August. And I was maybe thinking that right now when I'm trying to add some beats, maybe I could do like some sort of remix album myself to keep it alive just for me maybe, or use it as maybe inspiration to what's next.
Yes, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something that people want to hear, but for me, I think it would be fun to try. Yeah.
And how was the process of having this album remixed by others for you?
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. There is a lot of different styles for the remixes, and people are very creative when it comes to taking my music and doing something extraordinary with it. So I felt very blessed that people wanted to be a part of it.
It's amazing you did 2 remixes.
Yeah, it was a lot of people who just really wanted to join in, and it was like, nice. Okay, let's do one more then. Okay, cool. So I felt like that was really fun. Yeah.
And how do you have a vision for the future right now as an artist? You said you were doing other remixes and stuff like that. Yeah,
I think no, not really a clear-cut vision for it. I feel like this is still quite new to me, even though I've been playing music for so long. But this is as a composer and to do something that's just me and nobody else. It's still really big. So I think that maybe I need to explore it more, see what's more in there. So just to still keep having fun, if that's a good answer.
I think that's a very good goal, and especially to move forward and to find what you need to find. Yeah, I'm guessing.
Definitely, yeah.
And are you still rehearsing your live set or thinking about it and stuff like that?
Yeah, from time to time. There is a lot of, because at the same time I want people to be able to listen to my thoughts of the album as it is on record, but not just to press play and then that's it. Yeah. So I'm still trying to see how I can maybe make it more alive during a live session, a bit more than I usually, or that I've been doing during last year. Yeah. But it's I feel like it's sometimes the improvisations that I did was a lot of fun. So maybe, there's maybe some sort of good cross between those, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. But then who knows? I mean, if somebody wants to come and listen to the album and the tracks and then I'm just improvising, then okay, so maybe it's not the same. But maybe people will be happy with that. So
I think so. I think if you're happy with it, people will be happy with it, probably.
So that's I think that's where I am right now, to try to see what a good balance is.
Experimentation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what would you say if people want to go more into your music and follow up with what you're doing, and where should they go, do you think, to be sure to see your new releases and what you're doing when you start playing live?
I think definitely on my Instagram. It's AK Berglund.
Yes, we'll link it in the description for sure.
Cool. Yeah. And also I have on my Spotify page, there's all the releases, and I put them in a playlist where in an order that I feel like people maybe should start with and listen through all the releases that I've made with the remixes and everything. So maybe go in there. That's
a good place to start. Yeah.
If one has Spotify and listens to that platform, then
Excellent. Yeah. Cool. We'll make sure to link all of that. And I think that's the time we had for today. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that was episode 16 of Electronic Talks. You find us as usual both on YouTube and all the other audio platforms. To find the album Marianergraven, just head into the links and go there to purchase your own copy or to stream it. We'll be back next week, so thank you for tuning in and see you soon.